What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers Weekly Tech Podcast. This is episode 349, and our podcast is brought to you by Amazon. If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon and happen to purchase something that keeps the podcast ongoing, and with me is my co-host Ryan. What's going on?
You just reminded me that I have 2 items in my Amazon shopping cart that I meant to order last week, and then for some reason didn't hit it, and I was kept expecting them to show up on Sunday, and I was like, where are these things at? And then I looked, I was like, oh, I didn't actually buy them. So
I do that sometimes too. Like I'll put it in my save for later instead of in my actual cart, and then but we are back here, and hopefully everything's working. Last week we had some technical difficulties. We couldn't see how many people were watching the podcast. We did get chats coming through, which was good, but it was just really weird, and then the podcast wouldn't end because there was issues. It just was like a blank screen. So hopefully we have all of that figured out for this week. It seems like this week seems more like the first week back, because last week I was only home for like a day. And then we did I had just gotten back from my vacation. So full week, tons of reviews, tons of news. I feel like more in the zone per se, which I think is a good thing, So but yeah, guys, if you want to follow along with everything that we're going to be talking about tonight, you can go ahead and do that on our show notes page. It has all the links to everything. So as we go ahead and talk through our reviews and articles, you can click through and see more information. If you want to bookmark something, you can do all that. And if you're not watching us live, you can, of course, just click on the video and watch us live. Or watch the podcast if you want to do that. If you're watching or listening later, you can go ahead and do that. We're going to start out with reviews this week. And the first thing I took a look at was some new DDR5. So this is from Sabrent. And we know Sabrent really for SSDs, I would say. Almost all the products that we reviewed.
Running my OS right now.
Yeah, Sabrent. They've really made a name for themselves because they are very affordable and very... like performance-wise, they've been very, very good. And not only their internal SSDs, but their external portable SSDs have been really, really good. So I was kind of intrigued when I saw they had some DDR5. Now, they only offer basically one set DDR5. It's DDR5 4800, so it's running at 4800 megahertz. You can get them in 16 gig DIMMs like I have right here, or you can get them in a 32 gig DIMM, and then you can buy them like on Amazon. You can buy them in kits of like 216, 232, kind of depending on what you want. Now, the really interesting thing about these, and I'll bring my screen up here, is that if you look at them, they kind of look like there's a sticker on there, right? Like the actual,
almost looks like a heat spreader.
Yeah, so there's no like big heat spreader. Of course, there's no RGB lighting. And this looks like a sticker, right? But it's actually, it's going to be really hard to see. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but that's actually a thin piece of copper that's been bent around. Nice. So it gives you, we have reviewed some DDR5 memory that has the, that's just no heat spreader on here at all. No sticker, nothing. It's just like you can see the ICs, which is fine for like a lot of stock kits. But I think this is just a little bit better. Not only does it look better, right? It's going to look better than your typical, plain IC kit, but that piece of copper obviously helps with cooling just a little bit, better than having nothing on there. So I kind of Go ahead.
Does it dent up or anything? Like it's pretty thin. So like, if you're like not gentle with it, would you like put finger dents in the copper?
I don't think. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, you don't have to like do
it.
But
yeah. It looks all good on my end. So we received 2 of the 16 gig DIMMs, making our kit 32. And this is a non-XMP, what's the AMD stuff called? A non-AMD Expo. It's just going to run at the JEDEC speed of 4800 megahertz. You don't have to do anything. You just put your motherboard on auto and it will just run it. No problem. And it's going to run like any 4800 megahertz kit. The timings are 40, 40, 40, 76 at 1.1 volts. And then the interesting thing about this is when we reviewed DDR5, even some of the other stock kits, we weren't really able to push them all that far. Now, luckily, we have an ASUS motherboard. And if you guys don't know, ASUS motherboards have this thing called enhanced memory profile, where basically what it does is it reads the ICs that are on your memory, and it will suggest a speed and timings because it knows what the ICs can do. So we were easily able to take this kit from 4800 megahertz to 6000 megahertz with one click, basically.
Yeah.
Which is pretty impressive.
Hit the easy button, and there you go.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's more or less like enabling an XMP profile, right? And that overclock was also with lower timing. So we were at 38, 38, 38, 77, which gave us really, really great performance. Now, again, you're going to get a lot of kits that have an XMP profile, which essentially is just like what we did. But I really like that Sabrent just kind of leaves it to you. And I've seen other reviews where people were able to push this as high as 6,800 megahertz, depending on the type of motherboard that you have. So I really think that it's really cool that they just kind of left it open. You can kind of do with it what you want. If you want to run it at 4,800 megahertz, go ahead and do that. But if you want to push these, you can really push these. And again, they're plain Jane kind of, no RGB lighting, which some people may like. And I do like that you do get the little bit of the heat spreader, but it's not a crazy heat spread or anything like that. So it's pretty impressive that you're able to, I mean, just in ours, that's a 1200 megahertz overclock, which is a lot.
Right, with really no effort. Right?
Yeah, no effort.
Clicking a button and letting it do its thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I really, really like that. So I think if you are going to be running these, you should try to push them because they can definitely do more than the 4800 megahertz for sure. They are expensive, and again, they're really only made in single DIMMs, and then like on Amazon, like I said, you can buy them in dual kind of configurations. So just the 16 gig DIMM is $129.99, and 216 gig modules is $259.98. So definitely a little bit expensive. Also, they don't have like a lot of memory. I'm sure Ryan, like they come with a limited lifetime warranty. The warranty for this is only 5 years, which is a little concerning. And 2, in order to get the 5 years, you have to register. So you get a 1 year
out of the box. Really short.
Yeah, so not sure what that's about. So we only gave it an 8 out of 10, mainly for that reason. Yeah, and just a little bit, again, you can find DDR5 kits that are faster out of the box too. Maybe somebody who's a beginner doesn't want to go into their BIOS and try to, mess with things. Like it's a lot easier for somebody to enable an XMP profile, and these don't have those. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. But I think if you're somebody who's seasoned at going into your BIOS, you can really push these, and I think that's where these excel. And I think the type of person that's going to buy this kit is somebody who doesn't want RGB lighting, doesn't need a crazy heat spreader, and really wants to push their memory, and this memory can do that. So go ahead and check out that review for sure. Some really cool memory, which I really actually did enjoy reviewing. And then after that, we have a keyboard, which I also have here, which I can show you. And this is the MIIIW BlackIO 83. And if you look at it, it looks kind of like your standard keyboard, right, Ryan? Like kind of
right. It looks like it has like black keycaps, like high gloss black.
Yeah, but if I turn on the RGB lighting, it's a whole lot different.
They're like smoke black. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the look of that.
The casing itself is transparent. I think obviously that's where this keyboard shines, right? It's
Get it? Shines.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't trying to say it like that, but you do see, and we'll talk about this. But if in the right light, it reflects like that, and it's a little
annoying. And your keycap legends just disappear.
Yeah, they disappear, like you can't see them. So that's something that we will talk about. But I think this keyboard is really, really cool. So again, this is from me. This is our first product that we reviewed from them. 83 key or 75% mechanical keyboard. Again, it comes in this, it's a sort of like translucent black casing, translucent black keycaps, and the keycaps are polycarbonate. They're not like an ABS or a PBT, and they feel actually pretty good. I thought, you see kind of like a polycarbonate, you're like, it's going to be kind of sticky or they're going to be a little bit slippery, but it's really not. They're actually really, really comfortable. So we'll take a look at the keyboard. And again, by itself, it does look pretty cool. Kind of
I like those like rose gold arrow.
Yeah, keys, right? So you get this, and I believe it comes with a couple extra keys too that you can change out with this sort of rose gold. And there like are
colored. I don't know. Yeah, they look kind of rose gold.
Yeah, right. This is the gold version. So there's a gold version. I think there's a purple version, and there's another version where like the accent on the board, at the top of the board, is gold, which we'll show you. But here's those keys Ryan was talking about. They look,
that looks good.
They look awesome. And then you can see those clear keycaps. And you can see this top section here that has the kind of like a rose gold accent on it. Under the hood here, we have Kale jellyfish box switches. These are mechanical key switches. They're a linear switch, sort of like a Cherry MX brown-ish. They feel really, really good. I really like these. And this board is hot swappable too. So again, say down the line, you find a new switch you want. You can, of course, pull all the key switches out, and then you can put in different key switches if you want to do something like that, which is really nice. Here you can see that little bar at the top, and these actually light up. So this keyboard does have 3 different connection methods. You can use it wired, you can use it wirelessly with their 2.4 gigahertz adapter, and you can use it via Bluetooth. So the 1, 2, and 3 are for the Bluetooth. So you can have this paired to 3 different devices at the same time. And then this little one over here is for the little Bluetooth adapter that comes with it. As you can see, this is the kind of top edge. And then over here, you have the actual Bluetooth adapter fits in the keyboard, which you don't see on so many of these wireless keyboards. It's like this gives you a place so you'll never lose that little Bluetooth adapter.
So that dongle is the Bluetooth dongle?
Or no,
it's not
sorry,
the 2.4?
No, it is a 2.4. Sorry. That's
okay.
But like you get all these keyboards, and then you want to say, I want to travel with this thing. I got to like put the little, because you know how small these things are. I mean, it's tiny.
They barely stick out.
Yeah, but like having it just locked into the keyboard, so when I travel, I have the whole thing with me. It's really, really nice. Which I do like to see there. A couple buttons on the front. One turns the keyboard on. One switch between the cable in 2.4 gigahertz, really easy. And then you can switch between Windows and Mac layouts. And then you have your Type-C connection, which does charge the keyboard as well as using it in wired mode. This has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery inside of it. So definitely can get some use out of this, but because of the RGB lighting, and we'll talk about, there is no real software. The lights turn off after 6 minutes, which is a lot if you're just leaving this on. So that's something that's slightly concerning. But yeah, you have 3 different adjustment levels. You can see it kind of go, there's the stock and then pop out feet. So you can have 3 different adjustment levels on this thing. Yeah, overall, like I said, it is a very sleek looking keyboard. And of course, I think the big seller here is the RGB lighting, right? So, I mean,
you just get so much.
Yeah, right? And what's really cool is that,
can you see the legends when it's lit up in the dark? Like, can you still see the legends on the caps?
If you're like not from the angle that this picture was taken, but yeah, you can.
If you're at normal use.
Yeah, you can see them. But at these angles, they kind of, like you said, they kind of do disappear. But the thing that's really cool is that, you get like all the mechanical keyboards that you have that have RGB lighting, they have like 7 to 10 different lighting effects, right? Something along those lines. This has 40 plus.
Just built into it.
Just built into it.
Wow.
That you can easily cycle through with a keyboard, which there's so many, and they're actually really, really cool. Obviously, the pictures we have here are just of like the rainbow circular thing going on, just for our pictures. But there's 40 plus on this, which is really, really a lot. Built into the keyboard. So I really, really like that. We do have a sound test with, of course, with the Kale Jellyfish switches in the polycarbonate keycaps. And of course, the sound test lets you know how the casing kind of feels too. It's very solid. I really, really like typing on this thing. So check out the sound test that we have in the review there as well. Now, like I said, the big downside to this is that while there is open source software called QMK, even the keyboard says this runs on QMK. You can use QMK and VIA, which is another open source software. The keyboard, at least in my testing, wired, I use it wired because that's how you're supposed to do it, would not be recognized in, I believe, QMK. Or I know it wouldn't be recognized in VIA at all. So that's kind of a bit concerning. And like, if you've used QMK, it's not like the easiest thing to use. And if you're a beginner, again, somebody who's buying this just wants it for the looks mostly, because again, you can build keyboards and that's a little bit more intense, So I think that the biggest downside to this keyboard is that it does not have its own software. While you can use it with open source software, that open source software is not that easy to use. Even for somebody like me, it was my first time using it, and it's not the easiest thing. It's very DIY type stuff. And if you've never done it, we're used to getting a keyboard and we have our software, open the software up. It has our key bindings, our macros, our lighting effects. It's all there, good to go. We don't really have to do anything with the open source software. It's a lot harder and a lot more tedious. And I think that that's where me is kind of missing the mark on this, is that having their own software just makes it easier for the end user, right? And the fact that, again, in VIA, they said it works for VIA. Like, you open VIA and you just say detect keyboard, and it didn't detect the keyboard. So that's kind of an issue. And on the VIA website, like, they have like firmware, which is like you download that so it detects the keyboard. Their firmware is not listed on the website, like on the VIA website, with all the different keyboards that you can kind of import. So that's something that's a bit concerning. But beyond that,
sounds like you'll be spending some time on YouTube or like some Discords to figure out exactly how to configure this to your liking.
And I always say, again, pre-builts are for people who don't want to tinker, right? They want it to work out of the box. And again, this keyboard definitely works out of the box, but if you want to reprogram, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than other keyboards that we reviewed. So keep that in mind. Again, I gave this one an 8 out of 10 as well. It's $199.99. And you can buy it directly on their website. They did have a Kickstarter, which was fully funded, but that is over now. So you can buy it directly on their website. Not sure if this one's going to pop over to Amazon. I think if it becomes popular, it should, because for a pre-built, like I said, we've talked about this multiple times on the podcast, like for a pre-built, something that looks like this, and it's really well made. It's heavy. It feels good. It works really well beyond the software, like I said. And again, it's it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool looking keyboard. So go ahead and check out that review. I had a lot of fun reviewing this, and I really like it. It's gonna be like, I might be like just switching keyboards. I have like 3 main keyboards now that I really, really like using, and this is one of the 3. So I might be switching keyboards out like one every other week or something. Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, from that, we move to CaseMod Friday. And if you guys don't know what that is, that's where, Jim's in the chat. I didn't even see that. Yeah. Our good friend Jim from Home Gadget Geeks is in the chat. We will be on his show tomorrow. And I believe we're going to be talking CES, some other stuff. So it'll be kind of fun. So good to see you here, Jim. But Case Mod Friday, that is, of course, where we feature a build or mod that's been completed in the awesome, PC modding community. And this one is a Gatling gun themed PC. This one's from I'll probably mess up his name, but it's Jugapat Modifier. We featured a lot of his builds, and this is just crazy looking. I mean, if you kind of go through, we always say it looks like something out of a movie, and I mean, look at it.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, it looks like something out of a movie. And what's really cool is he has it on his Facebook page, but see like this little trigger. There's actually
does it really spin the barrel?
It spins the barrel, yeah. So this barrel actually spins, which is super
nice.
Cool.
It looks like it's a gun out of a video game with like the lights on the side, because we play Apex Legends, and like some of the guns there have like a digital readouts for like magazine capacity and stuff like that. So you've got some of the lighting here that reminds me of kind of a video game style gun.
Yeah, and you can kind of see with this picture from the back, like you can see how it's designed. So motherboard on one side with the water cooling, and then over here to the graphics card, which does not have water cooling on it, just a normal graphics card on one side. And you can see part of the graphics card right there in the magazine with the fake bullets, and you can see the radiator down here with the two fans, power supply in the back, which I think is super cool. That kind of makes it look like it's part of like the stock of the gun.
Yeah. This would have been cool to see at CES.
Yeah, yeah, it might have been there. I don't know, because this has a bunch of mixed parts. Because like
Cooler Master, MSI.
There's Thermaltake. I believe
Corsair.
this is a Thermaltake. Like the fittings are Thermaltake, and I believe this display could be Thermaltake as well. So a lot of mixed parts. So I don't know if it might have been there. Who knows? But just a cool piece. It's a really, really cool piece. And I'm not sure if this moves either, but that'd be cool if it like moved the whole gun
side
piece.
To side.
Yeah. So because it's on this cool looking stand, but really, really cool piece. Check out his Facebook, because he has videos of it, the turret kind of spinning and stuff. It's really, really cool. So yeah, check that out. Just an awesome build. And of course, like I always say, we feature builds every week. So if you're I mean, this is kind of really out of the ordinary, not out of the ordinary, but like just different as far as, case mods. We feature a lot of like normal case mod stuff you can do.
We've had a couple that are similar to this that have like kind of the Gatling gun, or tank or, mech type of look.
Yeah. But we feature like stuff that can be done decently a lot easier than that, like a normal case mod as well. So go ahead and check that out. We also published a new video on YouTube. I actually wanted to get this video done before we left for CES, but that just didn't happen. I took a look at the ASRock Z790 Tai Chi. We published that review before the new year, but I didn't get the video out. So if you want to check out the video, it is right here, just talking about motherboard. Great Z790 motherboard. Like I said, the full video is on YouTube. It is linked in our show notes if you want to go ahead and check that out. Always good to do. Like, I always feel so good about like a full length. My motherboard videos are decently long, going over all the components. And every time I shoot a motherboard video, like when I do like the really close up shots, I'm like, man, this looks so good.
Like Did you do a BIOS video for this one as well?
Yeah, so the BIOS video launched before we left for CES, and then the other one, the actual review just launched. So I always like when I'm shooting the B-roll, I'm like, man, this looks so good. So yeah, but that moves us over to news. And the first bit of news is that we saw a lot of these, again, the RTX 40 series laptops at CES, but we saw them in demos and it gave us an idea of performance, but we really didn't get a ton of information on the actual performance, benchmarking against other, previous gen laptops. While what's the guy's name? Jared Tech got kind of like exclusive access to an RTX 4090 powered laptop. And he has a ton of graphs, so we're not going to go over everything, but a lot obvious. And he tested it directly against a laptop with an RTX 3090 Ti. So lots of much improved performance. We link his video in the article, so go ahead and check that out. I think I asked you this before, Ryan. Would an RTX 4090 series laptop be something that you would be considering?
Oh, I like looking at my, like, that's part of like PC building is like, man, I put it together, I built it, like that's my blood, sweat, and tears in there. I like looking at it as well. Like, just having a laptop there, it's just not the same.
Not that.
And
like if you were in the market for a new laptop,
sure,
would you get?
I wouldn't go full 4090. No.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be expensive.
Because
these are going to be
expensive. That, and I don't have the expectation when I'm traveling to have that sort of performance, right? And again, we've kind of talked about this before. Like, if I'm on vacation, I'm not there to game. Like, if I do, it's going to be like a real short amount of time, maybe, or I'm not in there like trying to rank up in Apex Legends or run raids and WoW, right? With it,
even do like crazy video editing, right? Like, you're not
right.
Where that GPU would come into play.
Exactly.
I'm the same way. I mean, if I could travel with like an iPad, I mean, I totally would. But you just can't do. I prefer to. I have a really thin Lenovo ThinkPad.
Carbon.
That's the Carbon. It's perfect for what I need. And when I come home, I have my big PC, which isn't so big anymore because it's a lot smaller.
It shrunk.
Yeah, it shrunk. But I do like that it shrunk because it made it easier when we took it to Vegas for CES and all that. But check out Jared Tech's video. Again, we have it linked in the article if you want to see performance 4090 versus not a 3090 Ti, I'm sorry, 3080 Ti mobile. That was the top dog of the last generation, to see what the top dog of this generation will do. But we did talk about it last week as well. These are going to be very expensive. We've seen some numbers like $4,000 for a laptop.
Build a pretty decent PC for $4,000.
Yeah. But of course, it's like, again, it's somebody who wants the laptop. It's somebody who may be on the go is going to be the biggest thing. So, also talking about NVIDIA, we got some spec updates or suspected spec updates for an RTX 4060 Ti. And I do believe this will be I always say the 1070, but this is going to be the 1070 of this new generation.
Okay.
So it's going to be the first graphics card using the 8106 GPU. So it's going to have 4,352 CUDA cores, only 8 gigabytes of GDDR6. It's the first card in the 40 series to not use GDDR6X. Now, the interesting thing will be the price on this. You know what I mean? What's the 4070 Ti price?
You had to ask. Wasn't it 800?
Yeah, I mean, it's decently expensive. So we're going to kind of see what this is. And again, only 8 gigabytes of GDDR6. It's not a ton.
Right.
So it's definitely something to consider. Now, it looks like the TDP has dropped a lot. It went from 220 as like the kind of suspected down to 160.
That is a pretty decent drop.
Yeah. So we'll give, once we see some more information on this, we'll definitely get it out there. But this is all from very well-known leaker. I always say his name wrong, so I'm not going to try to say it. But yeah, we'll see when this card comes out, when it's going to be available.
I'm a little scared of the price, to be honest.
I think
because for $800 on the 4070 Ti, right? There's a price point for the 4070. Then we got the next level down, which would presumably be this. Like, is that $100 drop to this? If so, this is a $700 card.
That's still expensive.
That's a lot.
Especially when you can buy like a 3090 Ti used for around that price. Right? You're not going to get the efficiency, but and a 3090 Ti is around sort of the same performance as a 4070 Ti. So yeah, that's something to think about. But obviously, when more information comes out, we'll definitely let you guys know all about that. And Jim in the chat says, really glad you guys talked me into a 3060 Ti back at Christmas 40 series cards are just a mess. And it really is. So for somebody like Jim, who doesn't build PCs too often, again, I talked about this when they changed the name from the 4080 12 gigabyte to the 4070 Ti. It's for a normal consumer who's not building a PC or isn't following PC news all that much. It's confusing because you're like, why is it a Ti? What's, you know what I mean? There's no order. There used to be an order.
We used to have order.
Yeah.
Now it's just a mess.
Yeah. Now it's just a total mess of things. So, it just gets a little bit.
Well, and then like, are you hesitating to buy something because you're like, well, are they going to have a 4070 that goes in between the 4070 Ti and the 4060 Ti, or do I have to wait a year before that 4070 is even out when you could have made your decision and bought one of the other two cards that was available and been, on your way?
Yeah, it's just confusing to the consumer, and I'm not a fan of all of that. Also, somebody did a really interesting test with a desktop RTX 4090, using it in the Razer external GPU thingy. I forget what that thing's called. But a lot of people want to take advantage of 40 series, and they are a laptop user, but you can use the eGPU enclosures. There's a ton out there. And somebody tested RTX 4090. It looks like it takes a 20% performance hit when used as an external GPU. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. These 40 series cards you're going to run into a bandwidth limitation on, I believe the laptops use Thunderbolt 3.
And these Razer Core X connects with Thunderbolt 3.
Yeah, so these use Thunderbolt 3. So there is going to be a bandwidth. You're going to be capped, sort of. So that's something to keep in mind. I'm glad this person did the test. This was on eGPU.com. They did kind of some of these tests to show it. So that's definitely nice to know, because again, if you are somebody who maybe has one of these enclosures, has an older GPU, and you're like, oh, I'm going to upgrade now, it's definitely something. So maybe
make sure when you spend that amount of money that the performance hit that you're
it'd be interesting to see if these companies are going to come out with Thunderbolt 4 versions of these. That
I can see that,
but they don't increase they double the. How does that work? Thunderbolt 3 versus Thunderbolt. Isn't Thunderbolt 4 just dual link? It's the same 40 gigabit per second, is it not?
I think so, yeah.
But it's like a dual. I don't know how all that works. Because Thunderbolt is more of an Apple thing, but it has been used in a lot of stuff, but you don't typically see it. And I think most do you use Thunderbolt ever?
No.
Yeah, and it's on all these new motherboards. Although, again, there's not you typically don't see Thunderbolt for drives. We saw one at CES, but it's a USB. Yeah, but you get a USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 or something and everything else. You don't typically see Thunderbolt stuff. It's mainly for Mac users. But in any case, moving on, and this was an interesting story that I was kind of surprised to see. We had the 12 VHPWR power connector, or as we call it, the 16-pin power connector for RTX 40 series, 4080, 4090, 4070 Ti. We know, and we talked about it for months, the melting issues, burning up cards, things like that. Yeah, Meltgate.
We had Meltgate, yeah.
That's what we called it. And it looks like, CableMod was like, we have a cable coming out. It will solve these problems. And it looks like one of these adapters did indeed burn up. The CableMod power adapter. Somebody on Reddit posted that this is kind of what happened to it. You can.
But I feel like CableMod responded already, didn't they?
Yeah, they did respond.
And I thought there was evidence that it hadn't been plugged in all the way.
See, the person on Reddit had said that they plugged it in when they heard a click, but I haven't followed up since this initial article. But they responded right away. They were like, we'll send you a new one, no problem. And if the card was damaged, they said the card was not damaged, but if the cable did damage the card, they'll replace the card as well. CableMod's really, really good at this.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Kind of again, is this just like an issue with so much power going through a single
Well,
cable?
no, I think it's still just the non-secured, fully seated connections, and that's where you run into the issues.
And this is where we go back to what you had said.
Yeah,
you had said a while back where you're like, we need the little screws like we used to have on the.
I mean, not so much like that, right? You got the blue pegs where you're like spinning those in, but something with like some small screws where yes, you have to use a screwdriver or like a hex head, to like tighten the cable into the card so that it stays. And like it, whether it's kind of like a cooler on a motherboard where you've got the springs, and you can only tighten it so far, but when you do tighten it far enough, it's secured in there. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that it is really nice that CableMod would have replaced the card if the card was damaged.
Yeah.
But yes, you're spending a lot of money on these, especially the 4090s. And for something to happen, and then again, it's your downtime, right? So if you're either working with that PC, you have downtime, or it's just like downtime from being able to game or do those things. So it's definitely something we'll obviously keep you guys updated if we hear any more about this. There hasn't been a lot. This is the only one that we've heard of so far from the CableMod cable. So we'll keep you guys updated on that one. You were really excited about these. I know you went and you got the 5800 X3D, but the Ryzen 7000 series X3D chips, the Ryzen 9 7950 X3D and the Ryzen 7 7800 X3D are going to be coming out next month. And their product pages are up. And the interesting thing about their product pages is that you can see the unlocked for overclocking. They say yes. So on the 58 on your chip, the 5800 X3D, they are not unlocked for overclocking. You have a locked base clock multiplier. So it will be interesting to see how far these can be pushed. If this was just a mess up on the website, but yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for even pushing these even further than what they can do. So we'll keep you updated if they some reason change this back. It was just a typo.
Whoa, yeah, typo.
Yeah. But so far, again, it looks like you'll be able to overclock these, which a lot of people are definitely will be excited about.
Yeah, that'll be nice
for that. Talking about AMD, they have a new bundle, which is actually a pretty awesome bundle because the first Star Wars game I really enjoyed. The new Star Wars Jedi Survivor will be bundled with any Ryzen 7000 series CPU, any of them, even the non-X versions.
Cool.
Any Ryzen 7000 series CPU. You can go on AMD's website and see what it appears to be. It's going to be worldwide, but it's only select retailers. Like in US and Canada, it's only Amazon and Newegg. Like it's not Best Buy. So you'll kind of have to see. You can go on their website and see what retailers are going to give you the game code. What's really cool is if you buy this now, the game doesn't come out till March, so you already have the game code like ready to go when the game actually officially launches, which is pretty cool. But that's a pretty nice. I mean, this is a very anticipated AAA title that you're going to get, which makes you wonder how well these Ryzen 7000 series chips are selling if they're doing a bundle. Not only a bundle for it's for every chip. Typically, we see bundles with like the top end chips. You'll get something, but they're bundling it with all of them.
It doesn't like concern me like they're not selling enough of them. I think I don't know, because we haven't really heard that they're having trouble selling these parts or anything. So no, I mean bundles are great, right? Just extra value that you get. It was always nice when you're buying like a new GPU to get a free game to use with that. I remember when I bought my GTX 970, I got a free copy of Witcher 3, and I was like, oh yes, this is gonna be awesome. So
yeah. So like I said, it's nice, and like I'm probably gonna get that game just because I always talk about how good single player games don't really exist, and this is one of the good at least the first one. The first
was good.
Star Wars game was a very good single player game. So that's cool that it does come with that. ASRock has a really interesting little product. So their B650, B650 motherboards have a single chipset on them.
Right.
Whereas X670 and X670E have two, which obviously gives you more PCI Express lanes and some other stuff. ASRock has this X670 expansion card that was sent for review with Level 1 Techs, and it's this little card here. It looks like
I love this thing.
It's called the X670 expansion kit. Connects to your motherboard using this connector that you can kind of see right here. And it has, I don't know, does it say what type of Ethernet this is? Because I would assume it's like 2.5 gig Ethernet. No, it's 10. It's
10. Yeah.
Or wait, yeah, 10 gigabit Ethernet. USB 3.2 Gen 2, 3 USB Type A, and then you get two. And as you can see, you get two NVMe Gen 4s on there.
SATA ports, yeah.
Yeah, and then SATA ports on this. So it gives you kind of like all of what you would want from an X670, but of course you put it on a B650 board, and it gives you a lot more connectivity than what you would normally get, which I think is super, super cool. One simple connection. Again, this product isn't being sold yet. We don't know if it's going to be sold. It's just kind of like a concept thing right now. But I think, you put a decent price on this, and for somebody who needs more, like we always talk about, more USBs for sure. Yeah. Once, some more NVMe storage, you can definitely do this with that. And again, you're not taking, it has its own bandwidth for everything that's on it. You're not taking away bandwidth from the actual normal chipset that's on the board. So really, really cool thing. Yeah, we don't know if it will be sold or if it will be a thing, but if it does, it will be super, super cool. We have the video from Level 1 Techs in the article if you want to check it out, and I'm sure they can tell you even more about it, but I think it's super, super cool.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea to be considering offering something like that.
Yeah, I think it's super, super cool. So and then OnePlus, which I think most people know, especially in the you have a OnePlus phone? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The one that takes horrible photos.
I do not like the camera. You're not wrong.
Yeah, Ryan's camera. Brian, we were at CES.
Oh my god.
And
that sucked.
We were in a booth that was kind of dark, and I was like, Ryan, go take picture. So NVIDIA had all these cards lined up, all these 4070 Ti's, and I go, Ryan, take pictures of little placards for each card, so I can, when we showed in the video, I can put like what specific card this is, because I'll forget, and then Ryan comes back and literally every photo is blurry, and I'm like, Ryan, did you like what's going on?
It was so frustrating.
It was kind of funny, and I was like, I'll take the good photos with my iPhone. It's okay.
I've just not been happy with
the camera. Hopefully,
but anyways,
hopefully
this keyboard.
Yeah, hopefully awesome. OnePlus will change things with this keyboard. So OnePlus, surprisingly, is coming out with a mechanical keyboard on February 7th, and they have a teaser on their website, which I will play. Here's some screens from the teaser. Like that clear knob looks pretty awesome. Cool. The keyboard itself looks pretty badass. Let's bring up the video, and it's only 15 seconds long. But you can kind of see the video playing here.
Some red switches, multiple layers of like foam padding.
Yeah.
Connectivity options. That clear button is sweet.
Yeah. Let me see if I can. I mean, we have the picture too, but you can kind of see.
I like that. The bar.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to see. So there's like a little bar here for your height adjustment. Look, metal bar that's kind of chrome. Multiple layers, which is really good to see for a mechanical keyboard. Like Ryan said, red switches in here. I don't know what switch options you're going to be able to get. And then you have this knob, which looks awesome right there as well. So it's going to come out February 7th. or be announced February 7th. We don't know any more details than that. But pretty interesting that a company, again, mainly known for phones, is going to come out with a mechanical keyboard. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what's all inside this thing, price, availability. Is it going to be like sort of like a limited time drop? Or are you just going to be able to buy it? Like how all that's going to go. So really interesting to see, what that is all about. And that rounds up our news for this week. So a bunch of different stuff going on this week as far as news goes. As far as what we have coming up next week, the first thing is a little smart clock from Lenovo. So this is their smart clock essential with Alexa. And it's a little like everybody knows, like I don't want to keep on saying that because it's going to make all your things go off. But everybody knows that you have the little speaker, and of course you give it voice commands to do certain things. This is one from Lenovo. It's around the same price as the one you would get from Amazon. But of course, as you can see, it has a clock. And the thing that I actually really, really like, and I didn't really think I would use it until I've been using it for like the past month, is the temperature. So it's going to give you a live, and like, so in the morning, like I either go to the gym or go for a run. And based on the temperature that I see on this clock, I either put on shorts or I put on pants. You know what I mean? To go work out or go for a run.
Is that a humidity as well?
Yeah. So you have your humidity here. There's a little weather icon. And it works just like your normal other speaker. I'm not going to keep on saying it, so, but it works just like that. It takes the commands, it does all that. And again, I could ask it what the temperature is, but just having the live reading, that I could,
yes,
and it's a speaker as well. So you can play music. Obviously it's going to tell you alerts and things like that. But again, you have you have your time in the day and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a little bit different, but it's around the same price. A bunch of different color, like I think 3 different color options. I have the red one that you see here. So we'll be taking a look at that. I'm pretty, excited. It's just something a little different from Lenovo, but Lenovo actually has, and they've had it for a while, a full line of smart home devices that, again, Lenovo, you mainly know them for their laptops, but they have a lot of cool little products. So this is one of them. So we'll be telling you guys about.
I like seeing these types of, Amazon devices made by the other companies. Like you said, they make some smart devices, and we've seen them a couple of years at CES, right? They showed they're pretty excited about some of them a couple of years ago that they were offering. So yeah, it's cool to see them. What other companies do design wise and feature wise?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's nice is like it's around the same price, right?
Yes,
it's around the same price as the other like the normal speaker that you would get. So it's not like it's something that you're going to spend an extra $50 on, right? It's going to be decently affordable. So we have Old Man in the chat. He says, "Hey guys, just dropped in. Well, good to see you here. We're getting to the end of the podcast, but it's definitely good to see you here. And if you want to." We'll be doing some gaming a little bit later if you want to drop in for that as well. Also, we took a look at a really cool product, and we did use this at CES, and that's kind of one of the main reasons I wanted to get this. So this is the Hollyland Lark C1. They have an M1 too that can use with any camera or any device, but this is the C1, which is made to use for your iPhone. And basically what it is it is a small little device that you plug into the bottom of your iPhone, and it's a wireless microphone kit. So we did a couple interviews at CES using this, and it was super, super simple. Again, we're making so much content for social media. You're recording it with your phone. This allows you to do a full-on interview with somebody with a simple device. It comes in a charging case. Like, it's super, super simple. We did the quick interview.
You interviewed Stuart?
Yeah, with Stuart from GGF with this. And again, the microphones just clip on. So you just clip them onto your guest or whoever, and you just do it really quickly. And again,
I thought this thing was awesome.
You can control it within the app. They have an app for it and everything like that. But again, it's just plug and play. Like, you don't have to do anything. You don't even have to turn it on. As soon as you take it out of the charging case, it's on, and both of the mics are connected. You don't have to do anything else. It's super, super simple. So I'll be telling you guys about that. So a couple different reviews of more different products, but I think for a lot of people, this one would be really cool because with whatever you're doing, you're creating these we're all creating content for social media, and I think this makes having better audio for that like just so much easier, because again, your phone, or like your Android phone, the quality, especially if you're like not super close to somebody, it's really, really bad. So this definitely solves that problem. So yeah, go ahead and like I said, stay tuned for that next week. I'm excited to tell you guys about that one. And that comes to the end here. We talk about if we did anything tech related or saw anything or anything along those lines. Did you do anything like that?
No.
Nothing.
No, I didn't.
Not a single thing.
No, it was like my first normal weekend in a while, right? And probably the same for you, right? We had like Thanksgiving, like kind of started it, and then it was like Christmas, then New Year's and CES, and then I was out of town the weekend after, right? Same for you, like Christmas, New Year's, CES, whole vacation.
Yeah.
Like, this was the first weekend where I didn't have something like major going on. So I just kind of like vegged out. And then this week is I've been a day off all week though. I kept thinking today was Thursday. Like ever since Monday, I've been off a day. It's just driving
it's hard to like after, like I went on vacation, but even after the holidays, it's hard to kind of get back in the rhythm. I feel like I'm back in the rhythm now. Getting the 2 reviews done this week, and kind of I shot the whole video for the motherboard, like, but it's definitely hard. Like when we did the podcast last week, I was just like super tired, super tired. So yeah, it's definitely good to get kind of back in the swing of things. So Ryan has some products to review coming up. I have a ton of stuff over here. Gonna get a lot of products that we saw at CES. We'll have some of those coming in as well. So definitely stay tuned for all of that. Like I said, we are going to be gaming. Ryan's going to have that stream up. So it's twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. Head on over there. There's a new Apex update.
There's an update. And so there's a new mode. It's like a hardcore mode. I don't remember all the details, but I'm pretty sure it's like there's no Evo shields, so you have to find shield upgrades out and about, like the good old days.
So like the original game.
And I think there was something like no scopes or no sights, so you just have to use iron sights. And there was like one other thing I feel like that was a little different.
So I guess we'll give that a try.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, we'll be over there again, twitch.tv/ThinkComputers. Thanks everybody who came out. We had Jim and of course Old Man in the chat, and everybody who listens later. We definitely appreciate you, and we'll see everybody next week.